Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into week one of the new podcast that Justin and I have started called Straight Waffling. This will be a weekly podcast. The two of us will be recording on Fridays where, like we said, we will be straight waffling. We will be talking about anything and everything regarding sports. For those of you who are new, which this week one will be all of you, we will be touching on football, basketball, hockey, baseball, maybe stuff that isn't related to sports. Who knows? We'll see where the conversations go because, like I said, we will be straight waffling. I would now like to welcome in my co-host and roommate, the great Justin. Justin, how are we doing today with your brick wall?
Doing pretty good. I'm practically gonna be talking to a wall, like with what we're gonna be yapping about here. So we're doing pretty well. It's Friday, weekend of college football and basketball, college basketball now. It's a good time. Good time.
It is, it's a great time. It's not a great time to be a Virginia Tech football fan, but that's fine. We'll get to that later on. But
No, it is not.
we
Well,
will.
it could be
Well,
a
who
good
knows?
time.
It might be soon. It might be soon. But we'll just start with some college football. Let's just chat up some college football. Obviously, we got to start with the game of the weekend. The game of the weekend. Old Miss at the Citadel. Week 11 college football, baby. You gotta love it. Lane Kiffin really scheduling those hard matchups.
Those guys at the Citadel down in South Carolina, they play with grit. They play with heart. They will fight till the end.
That is the kind of team that you want for a resume builder in week 11. Is it not ridiculous that the SEC can just get away with scheduling these like garbage teams like at week 11 of the season?
I do think it's a little crazy that they haven't scheduled this late in the year. I mean, if you have them in the beginning of the year, yeah, sure. So what? Every team everywhere has, group of five and even FCS teams or lower level FBS teams in early in the schedules. But I mean, having it late here, it's just kind of like it's pretty much just a bye week for them. Like at this point, I give them another bye week instead of just giving them one of these cupcakes.
It's so stupid. And this week was supposed to be like a good college football matchup week, like at the beginning of the season. I mean, like Indiana, Penn State, Georgia, Mississippi State, like those were going to be good matchups at the beginning of the year. But now it's like,
I mean, I think Georgia, Mississippi State's a better matchup than it was at the beginning of the year. I mean, Mississippi State's a team that hasn't been too bad this year, honestly. I mean, they're 5-4. They had a decent overtime. They had an overtime loss against Tennessee. That's pretty good. And they get beat down pretty well by Texas A&M. But then hard fought loss against Florida, only by 2 points. Texas, they had a lead. They had a massive lead for most of the game, and they lost it in the fourth quarter. They blew that game. So I mean, they've had a couple close losses that could have went the other way. So I mean, they can put up maybe a better fight than people expected against Georgia. But ultimately, I mean, Georgia's just too good. I mean, you've seen the last couple weeks. You've seen the last couple weeks. It happens all the time with Kirby Smart's teams. You make adjustments at halftime. They didn't have a great first half, and then second half they come in and just firing. And maybe their defense has been a little bit underwhelming this year, but that offense can score like no other. And it's hard to beat that type of coaching. Kirby Smart's he's one of the best out there.
Dude, but they did the exact same thing as Ole Miss. They have Charlotte in 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Like, every SEC team does that.
It's so stupid. But they listen, they're a powerhouse, but my God, I mean, you got Texas and Georgia Tech at home for your last 2 home games of this, or 2 of the last 3 home games of the season. Like that's a scary end to the season for Georgia. And I think they are a powerhouse, but they're definitely tested.
I mean, they had a scare at home last year against Georgia Tech. I mean, so it's not.
And this is a better Georgia Tech team than last year.
Yeah, arguably, yeah, it is. I mean, Haynes King he's could be a Heisman candidate. I mean, he's leading the team. He's just a power rusher. I mean, the ball's in his hand 90% of the time. So anything can happen there, really.
They're a good program this year, and they're inside of what has been a surprising ACC, I guess you could say, for this year. Some teams that you may not have thought. Yeah, I mean, I think that the one that you would point out is UVA. I mean, I'm not sure anyone really thought that they'd be 8-1 and undefeated in conference play at this point in the season.
Nobody thought that. I mean, they did get a decent investment, some good money coming in their way, and that definitely helped them on the roster this year. And it's another year under Tony Elliott and his system and his coaching, and so it's that kind of reaction too. But I think they're a little bit of an overreaction. What's the right word?
They're
I don't
overrated.
want to say
They are.
overrated,
Well,
but
they're not.
because wins are wins.
Yeah, but honestly, you know what the word is? They're lucky. I would say that they are a lucky football team. They've gotten a
Are
lot
they?
of breaks this year that have gone their way that most teams
Without a
wouldn't
doubt.
get all of those in the same season.
Without a doubt.
And I mean, they are right there for the top of the ACC, and it's going to be a weird finish. There's a couple teams, Miami, Duke, where it's going to be, coming down to the end of the season, and we're going to see what happens. But they play Wake Forest and they play Duke at the end of the season here. Those are two tough matchups for a
Those are
team
tougher
that,
matchups, yeah.
yeah, for a team that the last couple weeks, they again, they're undefeated in ACC play, but you win by 10 against Cal, but that game was a lot closer to the end.
They're undefeated in ACC play, but their one loss is to an ACC team, a team that just beat
Well,
Georgia Tech too,
yeah,
which is
but
beyond me how this can happen. But I mean, that's
ridiculous.
scheduling for you. But
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
exactly.
like you said, California 10-point win, but that came from a pick six with barely any time left, and that was a close game. That could have went either way. But they got the win. North Carolina win by one because they went for two in double overtime. They went for the win in overtime. So what are you gonna do there? Washington State, a team that hasn't looked great this year, 2-point win. Louisville won by three. Florida State won in overtime. I mean, Stanford they killed, but that kind of makes sense. And they had that loss to NC State. So these games are close. They're a couple plays from being 1-4 in conference, really. Like,
Yeah, and again, like I said, they're home against Wake Forest this weekend, and then they go on the road to Duke, and then finish it out at home against Virginia Tech. Realistically, like they could very easily lose two of the next three. And I wouldn't count out the VT game for anything, regardless of how ginormous that spread is going to be and how bad Virginia Tech has looked all season. They always play UVA well. That's always a close game, regardless of what team's good or what team's bad. Oh, actually, that's a lie because VT has smacked them the last couple of years. But you can't count anything against UVA right now. I mean, they're sitting at the top of the conference, but in 3 weeks from now, they could have 3 conference losses, and no one would be surprised about it. So, will they continue to get lucky? Will things continue to break their way? Who knows?
Yeah, it's gonna be the Duke game. I think is gonna be tough. I think Duke's a good team. I think they're arguably a better team than UVA. So that's gonna be a tough game for them. Virginia Tech, I think this year is the least likely out of the last few years where this is the least likely on paper win for Virginia Tech since the last few years. But
100%.
that's another thing is when we've been bad. Virginia Tech has been bad, and they've still found ways to win. It's a rivalry that is very lopsided, pretty frankly.
That is very
So
true.
you never know what could happen. It does help UVA that they're home, even though there will be a lot of Hokies up in Charlottesville. But
that is also very true. And who knows? If they decide to hire James Franklin as their next head coach, who knows? Maybe they'll be all Hokies up in Charlottesville, depending on how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, but like you said, the ACC is surprising. You didn't expect Clemson to be this bad. Everyone's saying they're national title contender. They're 2-4 in conference. They're way down there. They're in no way, shape, or form anywhere close to. They're not even the top half of the ACC. You got Miami, who started off they started off as they ended up being a top 10 team, and they've started a lot of turnovers against Louisville. That was a bad loss, and then a tough loss to SMU in a close game that was fully 60 minutes. So they got to claw their way back up. But I mean, Georgia Tech, we all expected to be up here. Brent Key, great coach, had a great quote yesterday about leaving.
Cut me over and see what colors I bleed. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, about not leaving. But we expected Georgia Tech to be up there. We expected Louisville to be tough this year too. So that's not surprising seeing them up there. But it's the big teams, the Florida States, the Miamis, the Clemsons that you really didn't expect to be up there at the top.
Yeah. I don't know, dude, I don't know. You can tell me what you think, but I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing for the ACC. For the college football playoffs, man. I feel like I almost feel like the conference has been so mediocre this year that it doesn't really matter who wins the ACC because they're probably gonna get pummeled in the college football playoffs. At least that's what my opinion is. I don't know what you think, but
I think I agree with that. yeah, I think it also depends on which team gets in. I think if I think it's a UVA that gets in, I don't think they're going to do well. Um, I mean, maybe Miami can do well just because if they end up getting in. I mean, they still don't have an easy shot to get in, but if they do happen to get in, they might match up well just because they might be more physical and bigger bodies and on paper the best team in the ACC. Um, but that's debatable. I mean, Louisville, they didn't look great against Virginia Tech last week. So I mean that scares me a little bit. Pitt, I was surprised Pitt got in the rankings this week at 24.
Yeah, I was
Um,
too. I was very
but
surprised by
I, I
that.
don't I don't think they do well either.
Well,
It's really just it isn't a good look for the AC that their highest. I mean UVA is their highest ranked team, but after that, I mean they're only gonna get one team like CFP. So
yeah. And listen, Pitt's going to have a test before the end of the season, and so is Georgia Tech. And I feel like, Pitt plays Notre Dame at home in 2 weeks. Yeah, in 2 weeks. And then Georgia Tech, they're going to get a test against an SEC team at the end of the season. So you'll see. But depending on how it all pans out, if I was a betting man, I would maybe potentially throw my money on Georgia
okay.
Tech performing the best out of all the teams in the ACC if it came down to the college football playoffs. What do you think I was going to say? UVA?
No, I thought you were gonna say Pitt, which I'm glad. I saw someone
No,
yesterday
no, no. Yeah.
I saw someone yesterday say they might throw their money on Pitt at 12-1, but they have to play Notre Dame, they have to play Georgia Tech, and they have to play someone else pretty
They
good.
play
Miami.
Miami. They play
Yeah,
three top 20
exactly. So
teams to end the season.
they're gonna be bounced really. That's probably going 0-3 in those teams in those games,
Probably.
realistically.
Again, if I was a betting man and I had money to bet on a team, I probably definitely would throw it on Georgia Tech.
I think Duke could be there too, man. Diaz is a good coach.
That's not a bad idea either. I think, I mean, they're 5-3 in conference right now. So, or sorry, they're 4-1 in conference right now, 5-3 overall. I don't hate that. I think it depends on how well they play against UVA. And I think it depends on how well Georgia Tech plays against Georgia at the end of the year for me, really, to like if Georgia Tech beats or plays well against Georgia and then wins the ACC, I wouldn't feel as concerned about them representing the ACC in the college football playoffs.
Hmm.
Um, Again, that's just me. That's just my thoughts, but we'll see what happens. Elsewhere around college football, we do have a few ranked matchups this week. Texas A&M, Missouri,
Biggest.
Oregon, Iowa, and of course the biggest one, College Game Day, Texas Tech, BYU. Little Mahomie action there. Going to be the guest picker. Um, but I would say, yeah, the biggest one being Texas Tech, BYU. I feel like every year BYU winds up being like a top 15 team, and then they just collapse at the end of the year, and then they're never as good as everyone hypes them up to be. I don't know if they play an easy schedule or if they just can just choke every year, whatever it may be. But that's going to be an interesting one. I'm not going to lie to you. I hate the fact that it's a top 10 matchup, but it's a noon kickoff. What are we doing?
I do too. I do too. And it's surprising it's not big noon kickoff either. I am surprised. It's if we're being honest, it's probably because the SEC matchup got pushed back to the primetime ABC slots, which what are you gonna do?
I
Um,
mean, dude, the primetime SEC slot is Alabama LSU.
mhm.
That's a 10.5 point spread right now. Like,
I mean,
what
it's
are we
it's
doing?
what SEC on ABC. Is that the deal?
Yeah,
But
but again, like,
anyway,
what are we doing?
this is gonna be a really good matchup. I mean, BYU, they're coming off a really really impressive win over Iowa State. That Iowa State maybe is a little bit has a little bit underperformed expectations this year under Matt Campbell. Um, but going into going into Ames is never an easy win, and never a sure win. So it was close at first, but then they took care of business, 41-27. That's a pretty impressive margin against a ranked team. So that was an impressive win, especially coming off a couple of closer wins in Utah and Arizona. I mean, at Arizona, lost by or won by 6. They beat ranked Utah by 3 in the Holy War, so that was a really good win. Um, so that it was impressive from them coming off a couple. I mean, even 2 games before the Arizona game, Colorado 24-21 win there as Colorado. That was a close win too. So it was impressive showing for them this week, and this is, I mean, the winner of this game is definitely in the playoffs. I mean, they're both teams probably will get in the playoffs too, if we're being honest. This could end up being the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Texas Tech team is a team that they're loading up for next year with a huge freshman class incoming, and they already look great this year. So it'll be interesting to see how this game goes. Although I want to
And they
divert
look
for a second before we continue talking about this game. Can we touch on the fact that Iowa State never ever wears their colors? Like what are we doing? You brought that up. Like what are they doing over there that they just like at this point change your school colors if you're
I feel
never
like
going
every
to wear
home
red
game
and
they're in
yellow?
that every
They're
home
wearing
game they're in that
black.
gray, the gray or black, and they don't wear their normal what's it, like maroon or
Yeah, they're what red and
shade of
yellow is
red.
their colors, and they just never wear it. It's like black, gray. They're coming out with like some throw. Like, what are we doing? Wear your colors. Like, it's ridiculous. I swear. Every time I turn the TV on, it's like, oh, who's playing? It's Iowa State. No, that's not Iowa State. They're wearing purple. Oh no, they decided to go with their throwbacks from 1857 this year instead of wearing their home jerseys.
Hey, I'm a
Crazy.
big fan. I'm a huge fan of alternate jerseys. I love them. I wish every team had multiple alternates, but sometimes you got to wear your colors more often.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. They probably wore them for like 2 games this year. They don't wear them ever. It's so dumb, and they do the same thing in all their sports. It's basketball
I,
too.
I
But anyway,
I can't. I see people all the time on Twitter complaining about the same thing you just said. So yeah,
I digress. I will say it is interesting that the spread for this game is so big for an 8-7
what's it
matchup.
at right now?
It's at 10.5.
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech minus 10.5.
I
I feel like
mean,
that's kind of big.
it is a huge spread, especially for a game as close as this. Does help that Texas Tech is home, but I think it could end up being a close game. I mean, the one thing is Texas Tech has dominated in every single game they've played, except the lost to Arizona State. But
That's true.
correct me if I'm wrong. Were they on their backup quarterback that game?
They were on their backup quarterback, and then I think they actually went to their third. I want to say they went to their third string because their backup quarterback's done for the year.
He's out for the
Um,
year. Yeah.
so yes, that was the one loss, and BYU's undefeated, but also at the same time, like other than Utah, BYU really hasn't played anybody. I mean, Stanford, East Carolina, Colorado, West Virginia, like none of that jumps out at you. And I mean, they played close against an Arizona team who is not very good.
Yeah,
I mean,
Arizona State won at the end, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, it
Texas
was
Tech
30.
Texas Tech was down a game, they came back. And then like right before like regulation ended, I'm pretty sure Arizona State won with the touchdown. They were
Yeah,
down three, I'm
yep,
pretty sure, and
yep,
then I ended up scoring a touchdown at the end
yeah.
to go up
And
26-22.
BYU just, I don't know. BYU's undefeated, right? But
Mhm.
if you look at their game log from this year, right? They beat Colorado by 3. Not impressive. They blew out West Virginia. They barely beat Arizona. They kept the game against Utah close. I mean, again, their most impressive win might be the fact that they blew the doors off of an Iowa State team, who, by the
Yeah,
way, was 2-3 in conference when they played them. Like wasn't
yeah,
exactly anything
I think
impressive.
that 10.5 spread is totally reflective of the margin of victories. I mean,
Yeah,
looking at Texas Tech, 43-20 against Kansas State, again, an underwhelming Kansas State team, but still a decent quarterback and all that. Um, dominated a dominated a tarp off Oklahoma State team 42 nothing. Um, not even the tarp off section can keep that close.
we're going we're
Kansas
going
State,
into we're going to another timeout. The tarps off is great. If your team is good, what are we doing? You're not tarps off is
see,
for garbage programs. Garbage programs
yes,
only.
yes, it's better for them, but I think let the kids have let the men have
Nah.
fun.
It started because they were so bad that there was nothing else to do but watch garbage football. So you might as well take your shirt off and enjoy it.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you got dudes at like Oregon who are in the college football playoffs every year doing it. No. No. This is for us bottom tier programs. We get to enjoy it. And then the rest of the top tier programs, you have good football. So you don't need to worry about going tarps off.
I still get a laugh no matter who it is. It's pretty funny. And when you just see when you get to see the sections grow from like maybe a couple people to a row to a couple rows to a half a section, multiple sections, it's pretty funny. They're cheering every time someone else walks in and takes it off. It's funny. But going back to Texas Tech, yeah, they killed Oklahoma State. They beat Kansas up pretty bad, 42-17. They demolished a Houston team on the road who's good. They're good. They're 7-2, I believe, in conference. That's not a bad Houston team. They beat them 35-11. They destroyed a Utah team at Utah 34-10. So those are two really, really impressive road wins right there. Along with, those are easily their two best wins of the year.
Right.
And then, they beat Oregon State. That's not saying much. And then they beat Kent State and Arkansas Pine Bluff, who they should beat every year.
Exactly.
So I'd say it's because of the margin of victory is why they're up. But they're a good team this year, man. It's gonna be it's gonna be a fun game to watch. I'm definitely gonna be glued to the TV for that one.
Yeah, I'll be glued to the TV for a lot of these games this week. Even some of the not so big name matchups, like again, staying in the same conference. Iowa State TCU, that'll be a good game this week. Again, some of these games that may not, catch your eye because they're not ranked matchups. Florida State Clemson, two programs that have been really good this year, and two programs that have, head coaches that are on hot seats potentially. That should be interesting to watch. 7 p.m. on ACC Network. And a game that the spread is massive, but one that every year you never know what's going to happen. Little Navy Notre Dame action.
Notre Dame. Yep, I knew you were looking at that.
Every year you never know. They played it. Didn't they play at Yankee Stadium last year? Right.
They played. I think it was Army last year.
Army, yes, that's right.
Yeah,
but
Army was the Navy last year, and they But
I mean, look, it's a 7-1 Navy team. I they got their doors blown off by the mean green North Texas. But you never know. They play Notre Dame good every year, and it'll always be interesting to see. And Florida, Kentucky too. That's another one. Again, two programs that should be better.
Florida definitely. Kentucky's kind of been that mid-tier, lower tier SEC, but always been kind of mid. We'll keep some teams close every once in a while, but.
And I know for a fact you will be glued into San Diego State, Hawaii at 11 p.m. on Saturday night.
That's gonna be a good game. They've been two good teams this year. Two good teams in the Mountain West. That will be an intriguing matchup. I'm not gonna lie. The Rainbow Warriors have been surprisingly decent this year.
Dude, that kicker that they have is ridiculous.
That
dude's never the Japanese dude. Japanese never kicked a field goal till they came to USC. He was watching YouTube videos on how to kick. And I think he broke or tied their record for most consecutive field goals made. Like, the dude's good. They're a fun team to watch. They're playing at Hawaii, 11 p.m. kickoff. We don't recommend finding illegal streaming services, but good luck watching it anywhere other than that.
From the Mountain West Sports app or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know if you could watch it on that. And then we got a couple good games tonight too. Little Houston, UCF, Northwestern, USC, and Tulane and Memphis. So there's a lot of good college football this weekend. A lot of games to keep an eye on. I don't know if there's anything I missed that you're keeping an eye on, but we'll definitely be glued to the screen.
I mean, you really kind of said it all. I mean, just going through the schedule here, there's not too many other games that I would, I wouldn't highlight necessarily, but there's always some surprise matchups every week. I mean, we didn't talk about it. You have A&M Missouri. That can be a really good matchup. I mean, Missouri's a little beat down now without Bo Perbula out for the year. So they're they might not be the same team exactly, but it's still a ranked SEC matchup that could always be good. A&M's going on the road, but A&M's looked like probably arguably the best team in the country this year. I mean,
I would agree with that.
Marcel Reed.
He's so good. He's
Heisman
so
candidate.
good. So good. I think he doesn't get talked about enough because everyone's talking about Fred Oh my God, Mendoza being the best quarterback in college football. But I would argue that Marcel Reed is one of, if not the best.
Yeah,
he is so good.
Yeah, and they're a team that arguably has maybe the best win in the country this year. I would say.
Yeah, I don't know who else does it. I think
going on the road in South Bend. I mean, other than Indiana going on the road to Oregon, those are probably the two best wins of the year so far.
And you're looking at probably the two best quarterbacks in college football in both of those games. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I really like them, and I'm sure they're going to be in the college football playoffs. I'm excited to see what they can do when they get there.
Another good game. Oregon at Iowa. Iowa
Mm.
has found a way to have a little bit of offense this year. They have a pulse on offense. They can score a little bit. It's not your normal Iowa team that's punts and defense. So that'll be interesting. Oregon going on the road there.
And
It's
that
a
spread's low.
3:30
Oregon
kickoff.
Oregon 6.5 is a low spread.
I think it's because of the way Iowa plays. I mean, they'll
It's
chew
yeah,
up
I would
clock.
agree.
And they can put up some points on the board. But that's an intriguing matchup. I mean, the committee ranked Iowa for a reason. So
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree. Before we pivot to some other sports and some other things to talk about, let's stay in the world of college football. If we haven't made it apparent enough, we are both Virginia Tech fans. We love Virginia Tech. And with that being said, we have been led down the trail of hiring a new head coach. And we have been hearing rumors for weeks swirling around that it is going to be James Franklin. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Well, we have not heard when that is happening. So now it seems like it is a matter of if. I've seen reports that Virginia Tech is now pivoting to a number two option. We've had discussions off of this show talking about them potentially looking at PJ Fleck. Shane Beamer's name has been thrown around. I'm hearing Bob Chesney's name get thrown around. Talk to me. What do you got? What are you thinking? Is Franklin coming here? Am I just talking to a wall? Who knows?
no, I mean, ideally he's probably one of every school's top candidate. I mean, if they had the choice. Um, it does make a lot of sense for Virginia Tech, though. I mean, it makes sense for them to go all out to try and do everything they can to get him. Um, you got I mean, it's easy to win in the ACC, as we know from the standings this year. Um, he can rebuild he's the best coach in the country that's available right now. I think that's without a doubt. He's easily top 10, probably coach in the game. Yes, he hasn't necessarily, maybe he didn't win some of the big games at Penn State, but he got the team to like 10-2 almost every year. He got him to multiple New Year's Six bowls. He was a play or two away from the national championship last year, and then got the can this year. I mean, I remember him saying on game day that he was surprised by it. I think a lot of people were, um, but again, going to Virginia Tech, he recruits this area insanely well already. Um, I don't know what year, one of the recent years, he took like seven of the, I mean, it's just throwing out a number there, not definite numbers, like seven of like the top 15 guys from Virginia to go to Penn State. He has ties to this area like no other. So I mean, he coached at JMU, he coached at Maryland, which is DMV area. He knows this mid-Atlantic region like no other coach. And so if he had the resources, if he got the money, got the donations, the NIL, you name it, he could build a roster here that could easily compete for the top ACC spot every year. Will it happen in year one per se? Who knows? But with the transfer portal this year, you could change a team really quickly. I think he'd hire a really good staff. Um, so I mean, it makes sense for Virginia Tech to do everything they can. I mean, things we've been seeing is that yeah, they've done everything they can up to this point. And they're really just it's the ball is in James Franklin and his agent's court. Now, whether he's going to accept it soon, who knows? Whether he's going to wait out and try and leverage it with other deals that open up, who knows? I mean, we haven't heard anything about other schools, or maybe Arkansas a little bit, but like other schools, who knows if they've really even made an effort to get him. So at this, I mean, if you're a coach like him, time is on your side. You can wait unless you wanted right now to get a jump start on recruiting for the next year. Right this second, you can wait. You can wait as long as you want. Now, I don't know what the deal is with his contract at Penn State or anything like that, or I don't know how that plays into it, but he's got a good offer from Virginia Tech that everyone's been hearing. There's been a lot of national media attention about him going to Virginia Tech. I think I saw like the bet online odds at one point a couple of days ago were minus 250. Now I don't know if that's still the case, and who knows what those odds even really mean. But right now, I think it's his best option just from a straight up offer standpoint wise, and it's a perfect fit I mean, in from the outside mind, who knows what James Franklin's thinking, but it's a perfect fit. It's a
Right.
team. It's a place he can win. You go to an SEC school, it's harder to make the CFP than if you go to the ACC. And I do know you got a loyal fan base here at Virginia Tech that'll show up. I mean, they show up against Cal on a Friday night when they're 2-5,
Right.
and they packed it up. So it's a team it's a fan base that's starving for a good season, starving for wins. Most of the fan base was here around the Frank Beamer era, was living in the Frank Beamer era, and we're used to being a perennial ranked team and 10 wins a season and going to a bowl every year. I mean, what was it? COVID was the first year that like snapped their like 20-year bowl streak. And
Yep.
that's just because they opted out. They think they would have made one
Yep.
anyway. Correct me if
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
So
exactly. Yep.
the fan base would definitely accept him well, and
Appreciate
I
it.
think he knows that.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, we've heard rumors about, schools like Arkansas making a push for him potentially, or, him and his agent waiting to see if, LSU decides to make a push, or if a school like Florida State fires Mike Norvell and it opens up. Let's talk. We've been talking hypotheticals this whole time about him anyway. Let's say hypothetically he decides to not come to Tech and he goes somewhere else, right?
Mhm.
For you, I'm giving you three. I want you to give me them in your order of what you would be the most happy with as a fan. You are
Sure.
getting either Shane Beamer, Bob Chesney from JMU, who young coach, not necessarily proven, but he's built something really well at JMU, or PJ Fleck from Minnesota. What are you looking at?
That's a tough question. Um,
Because if we're being real,
I,
most of the other names that are thrown out in this coaching search are probably not going to end up at Tech, right? If we're being honest, like we're not going to go get Brian Kelly. I hope we don't. I don't want him. We're
I don't
not
think
going to
that's
go
an
pull.
option
Yeah,
realistically.
exactly. We're not going to go. Clemson's not going to go fire Dabo, and then we're going to be like, oh, Dabo, here, come to Tag, take all the money. Like it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
So I think those are
I
three
have my answer.
realistic options. All right, let's hear it.
I have my answer. I'll start with three. Three, I would probably put PJ Fleck. Um, you know, he's always been known as a good coach. I mean, you saw what he did with that Western Michigan team, and right from there, rode the boat, went to Minnesota, Sky Yuma, as they're saying. But they're in 2017. He hasn't done too much there. I mean, he has had what, one, maybe two really good years. But other
Yeah,
than that, I feel like they've been very average in the Big Ten. I mean, I can be totally wrong in this. I don't know their record year by year, but this is just going off watching the Big Ten and being remembering. He hasn't done anything too crazy at Minnesota. And I mean, granted, it's not the easiest place to coach at right now. Um, but I don't know. He hasn't done enough to make me confident that he could turn this program around, the Virginia Tech program around. Um, Number two, I go Bob Chesney, just because he is probably gonna, if he doesn't end up here, he's probably going to end up somewhere with all these coaching vacancies. And who knows, there may be more vacancies at smaller schools, like not the blue blood college football programs. Um, they say he's an up and coming coach. Was at Holy Cross, and then went to JMU. I believe right? He was at Holy Cross.
yes,
Now he's at JMU, and after Kirk Snetti left, he's built the program back up. Snetti took a lot of guys with him to Indiana from JMU, and the program that they're an outside chance, the possible chance to make the a new or make the college football playoff this year is the Group of Five team if they keep playing really well. Um, I think that's more of a risk because if you take Chesney, because while he may be a really good up and coming coach, I feel like this program needs a coach that has shown they can coach in the Power Four level, and has experience with that. So that's kind of why I would put Shane Beamer up ahead of him. He's coached not only in the Power Four level for a few years now, but he's coaching the SEC level. He had a really good, like, what was it, 9-3 year last year. That was really impressive. He built a decent roster, and they have been underwhelming this year. Um, but part of that is they haven't had a steady offensive coach, offensive coordinator. They just got rid of Mike Shula. Um, so their offense has been a little bit of a problem. But he's shown that he could recruit really well, recruit in the SEC. And obviously you have the history. Frank Beamer,
right.
you know, he Shane played here, he coached here. Um, I think a lot of the fan base will buy back in if they knew Shane was here, just strictly off the name. Now, there's maybe some other issues with, um, some of the off this field stuff, or just him, his sometimes sideline I don't know what you would call it, but antics. But I think he would recruit here really well. I think he would get a lot of fan support. Um, and I would put him above Chesney just because he's shown he can be a coach at the Power Four level, and he's done it for a couple of years now. Um, and he's done it at multiple schools. I mean, he's at
Right.
Oklahoma. So
I think
that's
there's
just my
pros and
take out.
cons. Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to all three of these guys. I think a lot of people are tending to overlook the red flags in James Franklin because of the name and what he can bring to the school. But I mean, I think from a trying to keep it at a not fan perspective in this situation, I think all three of those guys bring things to the table. I mean, there's pros and cons to all of them. Bob Chesney is, he hasn't proven that he can win at a Power Four level yet, right? He hasn't built a roster to compete in a conference like the ACC or the SEC or anything like that. He was at Holy Cross before JMU. But at the same time, he's a young guy. He can recruit. He's shown that he can build programs up from the ground, right? You look at Shane Beamer, it's like he has the name, he has the legacy. He's shown that he can win in a high conference, but at the same time, is he going to be chasing his father's legacy? What is that going to look like for the fans? Are they going to hold him to a level that he can't get to because of that fact? You look at PJ Fleck, right? He's in a conference in the Big Ten where there is power teams and they are the same power teams every year. And I think that that's largely why these Minnesota teams has gone under the radar. But I pulled his record up since he started coaching at Minnesota. He's taken them to 6 bowl games since 2017 and won all 6. He's undefeated in bowl games. He has 4 seasons where he's had 8 or more wins there. His worst season was 2020, which was a shortened season. So he clearly has shown that he can win at a conference level. But at the same time, he did it at Minnesota. What is that going to translate trying to recruit in the DMV? What is that going to look like trying to be in the ACC against different teams? It is a different.
Virginia's way different than Minnesota and Michigan.
Is he going to be able to out recruit Penn State, Notre Dame, now UVA, who's getting loads and loads of money every single year to go to their football program? Is he going to be able to out recruit those schools who have those ties here when he's coming from a school like Minnesota? So I think it's certainly interesting to think about. And I think, I think everyone's in agreement that James Franklin is the number one choice, and that is what you want. But, as we have this search committee signing NDAs and not talking about it, where they decide to pivot to number 2, if and when they have to do that, will be very interesting to see, because I think that there are a lot of pros and cons to all of these guys, and making the right decision here is crucial for this program. And it's not something that should be taken lightly. And I hope that they don't spend so much time throwing all this money and effort at James Franklin that if it doesn't work out, they're stuck in no man's land, or they're going to have to wait for the season to end and go find a sitting coach that's still at a school somewhere else, like going to like Army or something like that and pulling a head coach from there. So, I think it's definitely a concern. And I think it's something that, if you can get James Franklin, like, you better hope that they are doing everything they possibly can to get him. And I'm sure they are, but it's definitely a wait and see thing.
But you can't wait. You got to be able to start negotiations, get close with other coaches. Cause I mean, arguably you need to have a coach before Thanksgiving.
Agreed.
You need just
Absolutely.
recruiting, coaching, like getting the support staff, all of that. You need it set before the season comes to an end.
100%.
I guess pivoting more on a national level, this is the craziest year to have. This might be one of the crazier years for the coaching carousel in a long time, since I can remember, at least. And you have some really, really good jobs opening. I mean, we thought when James Franklin we left, we're like, oh, this is going to be the best job open. Then you had LSU open. You had Florida open. Auburn's now open. So it's going to be really, really interesting. I mean, maybe we could speak a little bit on who we think is going to be a good fit at these openings.
Yeah, and I think also too, you're mentioning all these schools that are open, but you got to think about schools that, like, this season's not over yet. Like, there are plenty of big name coaches, like I said, Mike Norvell at Florida State, Dabo at Clemson, like schools that like have legitimate hot seats for these coaches that by the time the season ends, they could be open as well. Like, we're looking at potentially one of the biggest seasons for coaching carousels that we've ever seen. And I think it's going to be interesting to see who fills those seats, like when those seats get filled. I think that's the biggest thing. Not necessarily who, but when.
And I think these schools also have to take a look at it and say, okay, I don't realistically, I don't think Dabo's getting fired.
No,
But
I
if
don't
you
think
are
so.
Clemson that was a thought, you also got to think to yourself like, okay, if I let go of Dabo Swinney here, I got to look at what all these, and this goes for other schools too. If I'm going to fire my head coach, I got to look at all these jobs that are open and think to myself, okay, am I going to get someone better than Dabo Swinney per se? I think Penn State is probably almost regretting it in a way that they're letting James Franklin go because of everything else that has happened. Like, are they gonna have a step up from James Franklin? I
I'm
mean,
gonna be honest with you. I don't think so. Like I have my guesses on like who's going where and different things like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know who's gonna end up being the next head coach at Penn State, like
I
at
genuinely don't know
all.
either. I mean, you
Like
had
all
you
they
had
seem to be
Matt.
doing is just convincing coaches to sign long-term agreements at the colleges they're currently at. So
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I mean, I think if I had to take my just initial guesses with not too much thought, but about who's gonna go where, I think John Summerall is probably a lock for either LSU or Auburn. I think it
yeah,
makes a
I'm
lot.
thinking
I think it makes
LSU.
a lot of sense because he's coaching in that area already. He's done well at Tulane. Um, those jobs make a lot of sense for him, unless they're going for like a massive, for sure, big name.
Right, right.
As for the Arkansas opening, I mean, who knows? Maybe they do make a massive push for James Frank. The way they pumped in money for Calipari, they could pump in money for football too. They got, what was the Walmart and
They got
Tyson,
Tyson.
those
Tyson.
families.
Yep.
um, but I mean, I think if it's not James Franklin, I think a very realistic chance is the Memphis coach. I don't know if I'm
Yep.
going to
Brian
pronounce it.
Silverfield.
Silverfield.
Brian Silverfield.
Yep,
Yep. Yep.
Silverfield. Um, I think that'd be a great um, fit for them. He knows the area. He's done well at Memphis since taking over. So that could be a good fit there. Florida, I really don't know. That's a tough situation. I think an easy answer to say is Golish at USF,
So I was gonna say
just
Golish
because he's right.
or Kiffin. Kiffin leave Old Miss potentially, maybe.
He was out saying on a podcast or a broadcast that he's not going to do it for the money. He also said that he was trying to work, or the AD said they were going to try and work out a deal for an extension. That hasn't happened. Everyone says they're not in it for the money until
Money's
the
in front
checks
of
come
them.
flying in.
Yep. Yes.
So he's built up something pretty well at Ole Miss. So that's a tough situation right there.
But I do like Golish from South Florida to probably end up there if it isn't Lane Kiffin, which Lane Kiffin
But
is a
there's a
stretch
lot
in
of other
any
schools looking at
situation.
Golish
So
too. So I
they
mean,
are. Yep.
it's yeah, nothing's nobody knows too much yet. You know,
And there's names out there of coaches who weren't currently coaching that are out there looking for jobs. Like John Gruden is available to coach now. I think he ends up probably coaching in the NFL. But guys like Jimbo Fisher, Ed Orgeron, they're out there looking to coach still. They are available for people to sign. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of these SEC schools like Auburn or Arkansas takes a stab at one of those guys to potentially make them the next head coach if potentially plan A, James Franklin, falls through and ends up somewhere else.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and you also got these smaller but not bad jobs that are there. I mean, you got obviously we said Virginia Tech, you got UCLA, although they're a little bit of a mess over there. You have Oklahoma State. I mean,
Mhm.
fire Mike Grundy Mike Gundy after all that time. So that's another decent job. Good fan base there. You have Stanford. It's tougher to win over basically how they've been, but Andrew Luck there.
Yeah,
Andrew Luck as a head
they
coach.
I mean, they already made him the
But he's
GM,
there.
but why not?
Yeah, yeah. So there's
uh,
there's all these other smaller openings too. So
yeah,
it'll be really interesting because now the next few weeks, really the next month, that's the real crunch time of people when these hires are going to start to be made. So
exactly.
it'll be really interesting to follow all this going forward for sure.
I fully agree, and I think another name too before we transition over to some professional football. Watch out for Willie Fritz at Houston. I think
Mm,
that could be a name that potentially moves somewhere into the SEC or a bigger program. He is an older guy, but he does have the experience. It could be like a Kurt Signetti type of move. And I could see him ending up somewhere else as a head coach, potentially trying to rebuild a program.
he
So
could, but
it'll
they're
be
also
interesting.
throwing a lot into the program there right now. They're investing a
That
lot.
that
I'm
is
pretty sure they.
true. But again, listen, I mean, people were saying that like Eli Drinkowitz could be leaving Mizzou to go to Auburn, like,
I
and
could
they
see
threw a
that.
lot of money at him, and he's got a good program there. So I think, I think it's interesting as to what happens with these guys, and it feels like it's going to be one of those years where it's going to be a one guy makes a move and then it just follows with everyone else.
The
So I
one
think
thing I will
it'll be
say with the one thing I will say with Willie Fritz is if you do make a run for him, there's a chance you're also making a run for the for their committed quarterback,
that is true.
Tyshawn
That is true.
Henderson.
Yes, that dude is
Number,
good.
I mean, what 24/7 hasn't been number 2 nationally, number 1
Yep.
in the state of Texas, 5-star quarterback. I
Yep.
mean, if you're a big school and you're looking to get a quarterback too to come with you, that could be a good nice package deal there. But
Yeah,
at the same time, that could also be an argument for him to want to stay at Houston.
that is true.
But you never know
That
with
is
the way recruiting is
true.
this year. So
It's all over the place.
you
Again,
also, yeah.
we don't know what jobs are going to
Before
open
we
up between now
switch,
and the end of the season. Yeah.
UNC.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
you never know. You
Well,
you never know what can
what
unfold there at UNC with Billy
June
B.
June his buyout's like what, $1 million after June or something like
Probably a
that.
lot. Oh, is it?
No, it's like nothing
Yeah,
because
but
he wants
you
the
wouldn't
opportunity
wait
to go to
that
the
long
NFL.
if you want a new coach.
They've been a problem since day one. So they're already losing. I think they just had like 3 guys decommit yesterday alone. Like they just,
Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
that's a problem program. Well, talking about transition from college football to the NFL, dude, the NFL has been brutally bad this year. I'm not gonna lie. Compared to years
Has it
past,
been brutally
the amount
bad or
of
brutally
injuries
good?
it hasn't been enjoyable, man. With all the injuries, it hasn't been as fun to watch as years past. Weird teams are good this year too, man. Like the Colts being 7-2, I'm still not fully bought in that they are legit, but dude, they keep proving me wrong every single week. And as a Giants fan, it pains me to say that because Daniel Jones is showing a resurgence, but I am really looking forward to them signing him up to a long-term contract and him being awful for the next like 5 seasons. So it's been a weird year, man. It really has.
It's been a weird year. It definitely has been a weird year. I think part of that, I don't know about you, probably you, but definitely me. A lot of my frustration with the NFL this year and the injuries, the amount of injuries, is because I'm in a lot of fantasy leagues. So the injuries don't make that fun.
Yeah.
And it's happened to everyone. I think everybody who's played fantasy this year knows the feeling. But you're right. There has been a lot of players injured. But you're right. It's been a
Like, dude,
weird league. I mean, look at last week. There were so many upsets last week.
so I'm saying, and
Um,
if you told me that Daniel Jones would be throwing for more touchdowns and passing yards this far into the season compared to Josh Allen, I would have told you you're nuts. Like, there's no way. Like, and Drake May is the second favorite to win the MVP
Drake
this
May
year.
looks
Like,
he looks
dude,
good, man. He looks
I can't.
really good,
Dude, and
and
these
he's
poor
doing it
Patriots
with like.
fans too, man. Like they had Tom Brady, and then they had to go through a rebuild to get Drake May. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I will say it's impressive because he's also doing it with receivers that aren't necessarily known as the best receivers in the league. I mean, he's got Stephon Diggs. He's a little older now, but he's got a Stephon Diggs. But Kayshon Boutte, Demario Douglas, like
That's what I'm saying. Like
they're not
they
known
have
as top receivers in this league. So I'm not
they
saying they're
do
bad.
not
I'm
have
certainly not
they don't
saying they're
have
bad
well-known guys,
receivers.
dude.
Exactly.
Not at all.
Exactly.
So
You have them on top of the AFC East, 7-2. Obviously, the Bills are good. The rest of that division, we don't got to speak on that.
all right, RIP
um,
to my Jets fans
I
who are
mean,
going through
I
another
mean,
rebuild.
AFC North really underwhelming. Browns and Bengals don't look good. Ravens,
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying.
Ravens also been. I mean, it's partly because Lamar's been hurt, but at the same time, their defense has been abysmal. And the
The
Steelers are 5-3.
The
The
Lions haven't
Steelers
been
are
as good either
Steelers are 5-3, leading the North. That's not
with
the
Aaron
most
Rodgers as the
convincing.
quarterback.
That's not the most convincing division leader right now, I will say. The Titans, they're the Titans. Texans have been odd this year. Now Stroud's hurt. I mean, it's only a concussion, I'm pretty sure, but the Jaguars have been a little underwhelming. And now they're really hurt at receiver. They just traded for Jacoby Myers, but Brian
Cam Summers
Thomas is
are out.
hurt.
Brian Thomas is
Yeah.
hurt. Yeah.
And then, like you mentioned, the Colts. The AFC West is really intriguing.
Yes.
You have the Broncos 8-2. They've squeezed out a couple wins, but they look solid.
This might be the first time that I've ever seen a 5-4 team be favored to win the Super Bowl. Like the Chiefs are third in the division at 5-4, and they're the favorites to win the Super Bowl. It's like
They're also healthy now.
yeah, and you can't count out Mahomes, man. Like it's kind of crazy. Like they're 2-3 in the conference, 5-4 overall. They're in third in their conference. I fully expect them to win the AFC West. Fully expect them to win the AFC West. Like you're
Yeah,
looking
I
at a
mean
Chargers team who are now down 2 offensive linemen for the year. You are looking at a Broncos team who is completely banged up and just had a punt fest against the 2-7 Raiders.
yeah.
Like I don't see any reason why the Chiefs don't win the division and or end up in the Super Bowl again.
Well, the only way they wouldn't do it is if the Broncos keep up their wins.
That's true,
Same,
but
same as that.
I don't. I mean, let's see. Their Broncos are 8-2, so the rest of the way they play Chiefs probably a loss.
You never know. You
Commanders,
never know. This could be the game.
Commanders probably a win. No Jane Daniels. Raiders again. I would
and no
think
defense.
a win. And no defense. They give up a bajillion points. Raiders again, probably a win. Packers, probably a loss. Jags win. Chiefs again, loss again, and then the Chargers to end the season. I mean, you play the Chiefs. Listen, the Chiefs have it right in front of them. They play the Chargers twice at the end of the season.
Mhm.
Like, if you were all talking about winning the division, you got it right in front of you, right there. So I mean, dude, I don't know. I don't know if I trust them to take care of business, especially with the Chiefs playing their hardest. The hardest teams they're playing is home against the Colts, and I guess the 2 Broncos matchups. But even that,
The Chiefs have an easier schedule.
That's what I'm saying.
And their offense looks really good. I mean, Pacheco just got a little hurt, but I mean that passing game is.
They revived Kareem Hunt. Like their passing game is electric now.
Rashee Rice, since coming back, has been an automatic touchdown a game at least. Like he's been really, really good for them. I mean, he's a good receiver.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Like it's just like every year they find a way to be good every single year.
I think another discussion we need to have is about the NFC West. That's a really intriguing division.
Yes.
I mean, you got the Seahawks and Rams both tied at 6-2. I mean, Sam Darnold and JSN have looked absolutely unstoppable. They've had arguably the best defense in the league this year. So that's a team I think could run away with this division. But you can't count out the Rams.
Well, dude, it's crazy because the Seahawks and Rams are both 6-2. All of San Francisco's wins have come in conference. They're 6-1 in conference. So what does that say about potentially squeezing into the playoffs? Like they could make a run if they make the playoffs. Now, granted, they have been hurt all season long, and I don't see any reason why that changes or any reason why they eventually do make the playoffs, although who knows. But I mean, they are beyond banged up. But 6-1 in conference is impressive. But
they're you mean in like the NFC? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Like if they sneak into the playoffs, if they sneak into the playoffs, like I mean, they are beating up on NFC teams this year.
Yeah, I mean, they beat the Cardinals, who haven't been great, although they barely beat the Cardinals, 16-15. That's played them tough. They beat the Saints by 5 points. The Saints have not looked good at all. They beat the Falcons, who are by 10, I mean, they're an interesting team. So one week they look like they can be good, and the next week they just get blanked. And then I went at the Giants by 10. A depleted Giants team, no Scatterboo.
I mean, look at their schedule the rest of the way. They're not exactly playing, the best teams in the NFL.
You're right. They play the Rams,
Cardinals, Panthers, Browns, Titans in a row.
Yeah,
that's 4 wins right there.
Those are 4 games that could be wins. That's then the Colts would be tough, and then the Bears, that's winnable, and then Seahawks.
Yeah.
So this could be a really interesting division down the stretch.
Dude, it's like I said, the NFL is weird this year, man. Because like even the Bucks leading the NFC South, like I don't know how I feel about the Bucks either. Like they've been banged up all season. Bucky Irving is still hurt. Like Baker Mayfield,
Godwin's hurt.
Godwin's hurt. Baker Mayfield's look great, but like again, do I trust them to get to the playoffs? What they're going to do in the playoffs? I don't know. They play in a very easy division. The Panthers, Falcons, and Saints are all terrible. Like I don't know. It's just a weird year. Again, if I was a betting man, even though they're favorites, I mean, the Chiefs to win it all again, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Not at all. I don't know what team is going to challenge them.
We haven't touched on the NFC North much. Packers and Lions up there. I mean, the Packers are leading just because they have the tie right now. one less loss,
Right.
which that's another discussion. I hate that the NFL can have ties. I don't think that should be a
It's so
thing.
stupid.
I
It's
mean,
so
just
dumb.
like if you're gonna call it after the
Just go to 2-point
after time,
conversions for all I care at this
exactly.
point. Like,
I think the college model is the best out there. I think that's, I mean, or at least play. I don't know, keep it a 10-minute quarter and then go to that. Like, don't end
I
in a
agree.
tie. I
I
mean,
agree.
it's dumb at this
It's
point
so stupid.
when it comes
So
down to
stupid.
it. Um, but anyway, Packers up there at 5-2. Their offenses look good. They're getting Christian Watson back. I know
Yep.
they have a couple other guys out though. But
Well,
getting
Tucker
Christian
Kraft's
Watson
out for
back,
the season with the ACL injury.
that's a big
So
injury. You're right.
yeah,
But don't sleep on Luke Musgrave coming up
that's true. That is
as the
true.
backup. They'll
I mean,
utilize him the same exact way.
and listen, the Lions have not did not look as good this year as they have in years past.
No, but they're still.
losing your offensive coordinator to the Bears probably doesn't help.
But they're also
Which, by
still
the
the
way,
Lions. They're still an
that's true.
explosive offense.
That's true.
So they can put up points on anybody.
That's true. But and
Um,
listen, this Bears team who's also 5-3,
sneaky good.
they
Sneaky good.
sneaky good. And again, I mean, they have a tougher schedule than other teams. They played Steelers, Eagles, Packers twice, and Lions again to end the season. But I mean, again, another one of those teams where it seems like there is a lot of mediocre to semi-good teams in the NFL this year, and there isn't like one team or two teams to me that like at the beginning of the year I would have told you like Packers and Rams. I was like, wow, like I'm all in on these teams. Like they're gonna be, and they just haven't been what they were at the beginning of the season. So
Mhm.
it's going to be interesting to see what happens as this season comes down to the end and what the playoffs eventually shake out to look like.
Yeah, I mean the one conference we haven't touched on yet was the NFC East, but I think we could both agree that anybody watching can agree that it's the Eagles are probably going to run away with this. I mean the Cowboys' offense has looked really good this year, except for the last couple games, maybe.
Their
The
defense is
Broncos
just
game and
brutal.
this, yeah, and I mean they didn't their offense did not play well. I mean again, arguably, I mean against a good defense at Denver, but then that Monday night game against Arizona, they did not look good.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. They were a brutally bad defense. I know they've had a lot of guys who have been out, and they've been getting some guys back. And I mean, they just traded for Quinn Williams, from the
Sure.
Jets. They just got middle linebacker Logan Wilson from the Bengals. So they're clearly making changes to try to get guys to bolster this defense, but I don't see them. I don't see them winning the division. I don't even know if they make the playoffs, to be honest with you.
The
Um,
Cowboys, you said? Yeah,
yeah, I
obviously.
mean,
Um, they,
their schedule the rest of the way is just it just
looking
ain't
at
it.
let's see. Yeah,
Look,
currently ESPN is giving them a 7% chance to make the playoffs.
yeah, I mean, they got Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Commanders, Giants. Like I don't see it happening.
Yeah, like right now, ESPN has Philadelphia 96% chance to make the playoffs, Tampa 92, San Fran 90, the Rams 87,
Watch out for San
Seahawks
Fran,
80,
man.
Seahawks 84, Green Bay 81, Detroit 71. And then two teams that are interesting here. They have the Bears at 33% and the Carolina Panthers at 28% chance. So I guess the Panthers aren't alive.
Listen,
They're still alive in the division.
Rico Dowdle saving their season, man. Dude's a fantasy animal. I love him. It'll be interesting to
Uh,
see. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing how this shakes out because, like I said, this has been an odd season for the NFL for sure. It'll be interesting to see where this goes.
yeah.
But as
So
we
what's, what do you think
yeah,
there is to look out for this week in the schedule for this weekend?
was just gonna ask you the same thing.
Mm.
Um, I honestly I think one of the better, if not the best game of the weekend is Patriots Bucks. I'm really
Oh
excited to
yeah,
see what happens with that. I mean, you're looking at two guys who were completely under the radar coming into the season in terms of MVP candidates, and now we're both potential MVP candidates. I'm excited to watch that. I think that's my game to keep an eye on. What about you?
um, if I had to pick one that's not, I mean, we got to go with what we've been talking about. Los Angeles at San Fran. That's going to be a really good game. 425 on Sunday, at San Fran. Rams are given 4.5. That's going to be another good game. I mean, I don't know what the status of Puka Nakua is, I can check that right now.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
either.
but either way, him playing or not, I think it's still going to be a really, really good game. I
Well,
don't see him
listen,
on the injury report, so I think he's going to be good.
yeah, I think he was. I think he ended up being all right, but I think that'll be interesting. I mean, you're at at San Fran, like you said. I, I think that'll be telling of the way the rest of the season goes, right? If the 49ers beat up on the Rams, which they have in years
Yeah, I
past,
mean,
it's been
it was a 26-23 game at the Rams earlier in the season.
yeah, and that was a banged up 49ers team, like a really banged. Like
Yeah,
they still have a lot
Mac
of injuries,
Jones.
but
Mac Jones was 33 for 49, 2 touchdowns. That's a lot of passing attempts, but 342 yards. McCaffrey, McCaffrey did okay. That they might have won this game because of Kendrick Bourne, 142 receiving yards and 10 receptions. That's 14 yards a catch.
I played him in fantasy that week. So
Oh man, Matthew Stafford had a great game. Devontae
it'll
Adams,
be
88
interesting.
yards, 5 receptions. So
I'm
it,
excited to watch that, and
you
I
know,
think that, like I said, that'll be telling for the rest of the season.
the Niners may have won that because of the turnover battle. They were Rams had 2 turnovers to their none. So
We'll see what happens. All right. Well, going off of that, we've been talking a little bit about, throwing some money. I have this beautiful house behind me that I clearly bought using all of my gambling winnings.
yeah, I'm in an
Don't tell the
alley.
government. Yeah, don't tell
So
the government.
I'm in an alley because all the money's out the drain.
If you had to tell the people one lock for this weekend, what are
Hmm.
you taking? It could be spread, it could be money line. What are you feeling?
Yep.
What are you liking?
Okay. I'll give you two. I'll give you an NFL and a college. How about that?
I like it. I like it.
As for NFL, ooh, I gotta look at the spreads here. Um, I might take the Niners plus 4.5. I think that's a pretty. I think the game it was 3 points last time. San Francisco's healthier. I think that could be another close game. So I just haven't thought about it too much, but that's I think what I would go for if we're talking just a spread or a money line.
Yeah, I'm loving the Lions to blow the Commanders out this week. Bang their Commanders team that already gives up a lot of points. It was
Yeah,
8.5. The line's now 7.5, which I love that even more. Give me it. I think they win by 2 touchdowns potentially. I'm loving the Lions this week. I think
yeah.
that's my
So
lock.
looking at the direct books, just I'm looking at the money lines right now. Um, a bad game that could be intriguing because it's so bad could be Browns Jets. I'm not some. I don't know what side I would pick in any way, shape, or form, but that could
Yeah,
be
if
just
you
fun for
if
guys who
you
are out there
want to
playing.
watch if you want to watch bad football this weekend, tune into that game because let me tell you, you will be watching some bad football, some
I
real
think
bad football.
I think a sneaky good play could be Patriots plus 2.5, or maybe if you can get 3.5, that'd be perfect. But money line might not be a bad play either. The way they've been playing, their defense hasn't been bad.
I took Tampa
They have a good
Bay.
run. They have a good run defense, even though you don't have to worry about them too much. It's not Bucky, but Rashad White can still carry the load pretty well. Um, yeah, Christian Gonzalez to help mitigate the pass.
Yep.
Um, yeah, that's going to be a great matchup.
Yeah, it'll
Uh,
be good.
Now, if we're talking about football,
Oh,
all right, sorry, college
I got
football.
my college football one all
Ooh,
locked and loaded away.
there's a
So
there's a
don't
lot
you
of
worry.
there's a lot of stuff to go through here. Let me pull up the
Yeah.
schedule.
So what I'm
Um,
thinking is I'm thinking Jacksonville State -1.5 against UTEP. No, I'm just kidding. I'll tell you right
hey,
now
hey,
while you're
hey,
looking.
I'm 2-0 on action bets this week. 5 of 5 on legs. So
Listen.
action might be the way to go next week.
It,
Keep him.
it might be, but give me Texas A&M -6.5 against Missouri at Missouri. Like
Mhm.
we talked about it already. Marcel Reed, I think he's going to win Heisman. That they're way too good to only win by a touchdown. I think
Is
Missouri maybe hangs around for the first half, but I mean, this is
are they
Missouri.
starting? Is that backup? Is he a true freshman?
I don't actually know. That's a good question.
I feel like I remember him hearing them when Pabula got hurt.
He
Remember
might
him,
be.
but
He might be. Let's see.
that's a tough play. That's a tough spot for him. Even though they're home,
He
that's a tough
is. He
spot to be
is.
in. Yeah.
True freshman. True freshman.
There's
Matt
still a team that can
Zollers.
probably put up. There's still a team that probably can put up points, but
Yeah, I mean
I like
they
what you're
scored
saying about
10,
A&M there.
10 against Vanderbilt's defense. I think Texas A&M just
That was a tough defensive
steamrolls
game.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Um.
I think A&M steamrolls them.
Now, I mean, just looking at tonight, I Houston money line -118 against UCF. It's I mean, that's just it was at the top here, and I'm liking it already. So I'd have to scroll down and look at some more. But I mean, they're a 7-2 team, or yeah, they're 7-2 in conference. They're going at UCF, who's 4-4 overall. Yeah, they're at the bounce house at night. You never know what could happen there, but I mean, I think they're just a really good team to be barely favored in this game. So I think
I
that's
like
something to
it.
look out for. And looking at it right now, 70% of the spread of the money for the spread is on Houston. 72% of the bets of the spread are on Houston. So, I mean, America's riding, or not even just America, everyone's riding for it. So there's that. Just taking another scroll through here.
There's a lot of good games this
Um,
weekend.
I could see I mean, Maryland Rutgers, I could see the over. Um, they
You love
always seem to,
you and your Rutgers overs, baby. You love
yeah, well,
them.
it hasn't looked too good the last couple of weeks, but um, they always seem to play each other close. I think this could easily be like a 38-35 game, a 38-31, 34-27 type of game. So that could be something to keep an eye out for. Um, more Vanderbilt. They're
I
giving
was
six
just
and a
looking at
half.
that. I was just
Now,
looking at that.
now you always have to be worried
Trap
about it
game.
about a team that with an interim head coach who just fired the
Yep.
head coach. You
Yep.
always got to be worried for some of that. Teams tend to sometimes be way more fired up after that. However, Vanderbilt's probably pissed off about that loss to Texas. They're now home. They're gonna come out the gates firing. And this is an Auburn team that just looked god awful against Kentucky. What was it, 10-3 or something like that, the final
Yep.
score? That's that could be the game. That could be the game for me to where I just hammer Vanderbilt. But I would say you have to be worrisome of the interim head coach juice there for Auburn.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'll give
especially
you
good
I'll give you
especially if they continue to go away from Jackson Arnold. Yeah,
was just gonna say that. Yeah, I fully agree. And I'll give you one more to wrap this up. Little extra taste of some college football. Give me UCLA night game against a Nebraska team who is coming off a game in which you lose your starting quarterback, Dylan Raiola, for the rest of the year. Give me UCLA -1.5.
they're
Nebraska's backup is a true freshman who has barely seen the field. He had 7 passing attempts in replacing Raiola last week. They're playing at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. 9 o'clock kickoff. Give me UCLA -1.5.
okay. Okay, that's
Before
intriguing.
and before we wrap this show up, I'm going to rip off another show that I love to listen to on ESPN New York, DPH and Rothberg. They do a little stuff you missed,
Ooh,
and instead of making it a full segment, I'm just going to give you one thing that I laid my eyes upon on Twitter before we jumped on here that I think you'll find very interesting. The MLB tweeted out 2 hours ago that they are hosting a competitive golf tournament with 60 current and former major leaguers representing all 30 clubs. They're playing at Shadow Creek, and it is going to be the new cornerstone of MLB Awards Week from November 12th to the 14th. I kind of love it.
that's pretty cool.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
love
Like,
when
you get to see a bunch of baseball players playing golf. It's pretty cool.
I think that's a really cool thing. Yeah, you get to see them outside of their normal element on the diamond. Whenever anytime you see events where players get together outside of the sport, it's always end up being a cool experience. So I think it's a great thing for the MLB to do.
I do too. I think it'll be something interesting and something to keep an eye on. And something new. They're trying to branch out, get a new audience. Golf has been rising up the past couple of years. So I think it's a
Hmm.
pretty
As it
cool
should
thing
be.
to see. Yeah, I fully agree. So
Before we fully wrap up, now
oh boy. Oh
I
boy.
want to I want to whether it's you telling me or me asking you, I want to end this with a little bit of trivia.
Oh boy.
Since we didn't, it's going to be college basketball related since we didn't get to touch on it. Only been a weekend for college basketball, so we'll end up talking more about it as it
Tune in
goes
next
on.
week for a little college basketball action, by the way, everyone. We'll
Just
be
said that.
talking next week. We'll be talking next week.
Anyway, anyway, what NCAA Division One basketball coach has the most career wins with 902?
Just all time.
Yeah, most career wins,
God.
902. I think that actually, I gotta fact check this because
Oh God.
um, I feel like this could be an old thing. You can think about it.
I got some names running through my head. See, the thing is, I feel like I have an answer.
Hold on. Hold on. I gotta see when this was made. But go ahead.
I was gonna say Roy Williams.
It is not Roy Williams.
Is he current? Is it an active coach or is it someone that's retired? See, now you got to fact check your own question because you don't even
I
know if it's
do.
right.
I thought I was ready for this, but then I started thinking about the answer. I'm like, oh, that's just not right. All right.
Who does Roy Williams have? Okay, so Roy Williams has 903 wins.
Yeah.
So it is Roy Williams. But you said 902.
Yeah, it's old. It's old. There's 1,202.
1,202. Okay. Is this an active coach?
No.
Is it a recently retired coach? It has to be, right?
Somewhat. Yes.
Were they in the ACC?
Yes.
Were they at Syracuse?
No.
Oh, so is it Mike Krzyzewski then?
Krzyzewski, yeah.
Or Krzyzewski, yep. Sorry, I can't speak. Yeah, I was gonna say it had to be the UNC, Duke, Syracuse, one of those like three schools. I was thinking. Roy Williams at 903. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, you know what I would give to be at a school that had a coach like that, man. Right?
Yeah. The first thing I don't know what I used, but it was coming up with Bob Knight at 902. I remember he was up there, but that just can't be right. Yeah, it's Mike Krzyzewski with
he went over 1,200.
He went 1,202 and 368. He was Boeheim. Your first guess was 1,015.
Oh, so he's up there.
But shout out Junior Ariema. 1,251 and counting.
Wow. Yeah, he might be number one when it's all said and done at this point.
He is number. Well, he's number one overall.
Overall, yeah. No.
Counting women's.
Sorry, yes,
yeah.
He's counting women's. Yes.
Sorry. That's why I said shout out Junior Ariema.
Yeah. How many more years has he got left? He's probably got it.
Yeah, at least definitely a little bit. Yeah,
I was gonna say 5+ maybe.
He's one of those guys like you can't see,
him not coaching basketball.
Not coaching basketball. Yeah,
exactly.
Also, shout out Tyler Vanderveer, 1,216.
Damn, man, what I wouldn't give to have a coach like that, huh?
Yeah. I'll also if we do next week, I'm gonna have it fact checked.
Yeah, please,
right away.
Please. Well,
I read it out to you. I read it out. I read it out to you, and I'm like, wait, that's just not right.
That's so funny. But yeah, no. Tune in next week because we'll be talking some hockey next week. We'll talk some college basketball once the season starts to get to full swing. Yeah, little Devils Islanders. We're wrapping it today. We didn't talk about it, but we'll definitely talk about it. We'll definitely talk about some college basketball. We'll talk more college football.
Hopefully, there's more coaching carousel news next week.
Hey, maybe who knows? Maybe we hop on here next week and talk about how Virginia Tech hired James Franklin. You never know. A lot could change in a week, but we appreciate you tuning in, listening to us. You can follow us on all social media at Straight Waffling on everything. Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, we're everywhere. So definitely make sure to tune in. We appreciate everyone listening, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace. We'll probably be waffling more too.
For sure.